Welcome back to Educator.com's Advanced English Grammar course. This lesson is on writing numbers. Let's get started. Alright, we begin as always with a brief lesson overview. We're going to talk about the two different ways to write numbers. Believe it or not, there are two different ways, and English has some kind of wonky rules on which way to use which time. Then we're going to go over those rules, and we're going to conclude with some practice. See if you can figure out which way to write the numbers in each of the sentences. Alright. There are two ways to write numbers in English. Numerals, Arabic numerals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and spelled out words. Now, you can get into a little bit of trouble writing numerals in the wrong place or writing spelled out words in the wrong place because numerals in the wrong place can seem excessively informal, and spelled out words in the wrong place, frankly, can just take you too long. In general, the rule is to spell out single-digit, whole numbers, and to use numerals for numbers greater than 9. So, for example, I can say, I have 3 brothers. 3 is a single-digit whole number, so I spell it out. But if you say the plane crash killed 32 people, it's perfectly okay to use numerals because, frankly, spelling out 32 would slow down the reader quite a bit. Alright, now that we've got the general rule out of the way, here's some of the specifics. First and foremost, be consistent. The whole thing about all these rules for writing numbers is you don't want to pull your reader out of whatever you're writing. You want them to keep on reading along and barely even notice whether you're using words or numerals or whatever. You want them to focus on what you're saying, not how you're saying it. And the best way to get them to keep that focus on what you're saying is to be consistent. If your group of numbers has a number greater than 9, use numerals for all of those numbers. If you have numbers in different categories, and we'll talk about that in a minute, use numerals for one category and spell out the other. So, for example, if all 30 history students attend all 4 plays, then the 7 math students will be able to attend only 2 plays. Now, in this sentence, we have 2 different categories of things that are being counted. We have students and we have plays. Now, of the various numbers of students that we have to discuss the 30 history students and the 7 math students. Now, you could get away with just spelling out 7 because it's 7, but because it's in the same category as history students and there are 30 of them, you use numerals for both of those numbers. But what you may ask, what about the plays? Well, we have 4 plays here and 2 plays here. So both of those numbers are less than 9. They're single-digit whole numbers. So you can spell them out, no problem. And because they're in a different category from the student numbers, one set of numbers talks about people, one set of numbers talks about things, totally different categories, then you can use a different set of rules. As long as you're consistent, it usually works out. Next example, my 10 dogs fought with their 2 dogs. Well, in this sentence, we're talking about 2 groups of dogs, same category, so the fact that we've got 10 dogs there means that we have to use the numeral 2 for the 2 dogs. But you can also get away with writing it the other way. My 10 dogs fought with their 2 dogs. This is a little bit of a gray area. The number is greater than 9, but it really doesn't take up too much extra space to write TEN as opposed to writing 10. So you're not going to slow down the reader too much. They're probably just going to read the sentence and go on with their life. So particularly if you're writing a non-technical document, so let's say you're writing a novel, go ahead and spell out the numbers. It flows better, stops people short a little bit less, especially in fiction, and basically no one's going to care. The rule here is, whichever way you go, be consistent. This is also handy because if it turns out later that you've made a horrible mistake in the way you're writing numbers, if you're consistent the whole way through, you can fix the mistake pretty easily just by, well, fixing it consistently.